home with the hacker's manifesto singing in their heart. I have seen new stories and new myths emerge out of the language of the internet, where people speak together through Google and translate new languages. And I've seen the Library of Alexandria materialize with free knowledge and torrents of information wash up on shores otherwise impossible to reach. I have seen the alchemy of stories take on real shape in a collective online effort, and the truth seeped into the real world as the untouchables tried to hide their secrets for the chosen few. Those secrets keep spilling out. Tunisia. Corruption. Is a trending policy to make everything secret by default, without a consensus about the process of deciding what needs to be kept secret. Transparency and open access to information are the only real pressures on governments to remain true democracies, because let's not forget that if you don't have the pillars intact of democracy, such as freedom of information and expression and speech, you're not living in a democracy. Yes, so I rather define democracy like that, without freedom of expression. I define it as dictatorship with many heads. Many people don't realize that we don't have freedom of information online. We don't have it offline. People feel the mainstream media have failed them, and thus they turn to alternative media online, and the culture of tracking secrets is on the rise. And finally, the old dream of WikiLeaks of crowdsourcing is becoming a reality around various leaks, both from WikiLeaks and, for example, from Anonymous. I want to stress that I am shocked by the lack of courage by the US media and other media in our so-called free world in relation to WikiLeaks. Shocked because WikiLeaks simply acted as the middleman, the safe box in cyberspace that received the brown envelope from the source and handed it over to the media. Shocked because of the ignorance from the media. It is obvious to me that if WikiLeaks will be taken down in any shape or form, or the people behind it, it will be harder for the media to stay on firm ground when under attack for publishing leaked material from whistleblowers and secret sources. I feel there has been too much focus on the people behind WikiLeaks, not the content that they have provided. And this is largely the fault of the media. This has taken the focus off the historical significance of the leaks and created something of a frenzy around sensationalism of personal clashes. If we allow ourselves to step away from the persons and look into the achievements of WikiLeaks, it is obvious that because of them, we have the issues of information freedoms online on the agenda all over the world, and of course the issue of whistleblowing as an option when witnessing criminal behavior in the public, military or private sectors. Yet the culture of free flow of information is still strong online, and every attempt to block, hinder or erase information is met with increased creativity. Yet those of us who care for freedom of information, we have to step up our quest to remove the gags, tear down the firewalls and dissolve the invisible filters. The telecom companies have gained incredible power and tend to cave in under government pressures, as we saw happen in Egypt in early 2011. We also saw how Amazon caved in under political pressure and kicked WikiLeaks off its clouds. Corporations and specialized law firms have figured out where the best countries are to use as medium to attack and gag journalists, writers, publishers, and the rest of the media. They have become so good at it that important stories have simply vanished from the public domain. Modern book burning occurs every day in every library in the world by a click of a button. Libel tourism, prior restraints, gag orders, out-of-court settlements, and tampering with our online historical records are altering our current history in real time and robbing us of the possibility to be informed about the activities of the most influential corporations and politicians in our world. We have to do everything in our power to stop this development through lawmaking and creative resistance. The Icelandic Modern Media Initiative is an attempt to raise the standard and upgrade the current legal framework to strengthen freedom of information, speech and expression in our world. The creation of a safe haven for freedom of information has to start somewhere. And Iceland is a good place, because after all we learned the hard way the destructive nature of lack of transparency and what the culture of secrecy can lead to. People yearn for change, and thus this crisis can be used for something that will for sure be beneficial for us and hopefully for the rest of the world. And what we actually did when we decided to create the Icelandic Modern Media Initiative is we used the same methods as if I wanted to start a tax haven. I would pull together all the best laws from around the world in order to create secrecy. So what we did, we took all the best laws from around the world that are actually functioning in order to create a haven of transparency, a shield for journalists and those that need to have access to freedom of information. But finally, I want to address something that is very local, and it has to do with Ron Konkreb. He's actually accepted that I don't pronounce his last name correctly. It's difficult even for Dutch people, I've heard. So me and Rob, we are both within the radar of the Department of Justice in the United States because of our role in post-producing of the video known as the Collateral Murder. And if you haven't seen it, I strongly encourage you to see it. This video is showing, among other horrors, the murder of a wounded man and the people trying to help him in Iraq. And as far as I am concerned, we have done nothing illegal. We contributed to the release of material that showed without any doubt a war crime that no one actually has been held accountable for. There are serious attempts to criminalize those that helped to get this material out in the public domain, not the people responsible for the killing. One of the universal laws in most places in our world is as follows: if you witness a crime, it is your civic duty to report it. The same applies to war crimes. And it is by no standards a crime to blow the whistle on war crimes. And when I got the news about my Twitter case and it became a news story all over the world, the Icelandic Parliament got behind me openly. And so did the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and the Interior Affairs. I am a parliamentarian, and thus I have a much better shield than Rob. Thus Rob should be given a greater support and shield from his own country than I am getting in Iceland. His actions, in this case, are very much the same as any person on the floor in any media outlet in Holland or in Iceland. Perhaps because of the historical ties Holland has with the United States, the authorities in Holland could play a central role in encouraging US authorities to hold those accountable for the war crimes witnessed in the video. At least the authorities in Holland could pledge that they will protect their citizens without conditions, such as the Icelandic authorities have done in my case. Holland has always been a country I have looked upon with awe for the courage to create a common sense law around very controversial issues. Thus I would expect to see common sense applied in this very case. Thank you.